Welcome to our YouTube channel, Tech Check. If you want to watch the world's best motorcycles or cars, please visit our channel for more daily reviews or top 5 videos. Thank you. Our review today is about the Harley Davidson Fatbob. The video gets better and better, so stay until the end. Launched back in 2018, the latest Fatbob was added to Harley Davidson's fairly extensive and refreshed softail lineup as an aggressively styled and mightily powerful alternative to the more traditional softail slims and sport glides of this world. Where those models feature the instantly recognizable silhouette of Harley's big cruisers, the Fatbob is an altogether gnarlier machine, with more steeply raked front forks, imposing copper heat shields on the exhaust pipes, balloon tires and a modern LED headlight at the front. The heady mix of modern naked motorcycle styling elements and HD's enormous 1868cc engine, 114 cubic inches, if you speak imperial, give it more than just a hint of Mad Max backyard garage about it, especially when decked out in the military-spec deadwood green denim paint job. Alas, owning a Harley of this stature requires deep pockets and equally bulging biceps, because prices start at £16,995 without any options boxes ticked, and the thing weighs 306 kilograms with some fuel in the tank. Maneuvering a big Harley is rarely fun, and it's no different here. Don't be fooled by the naked looks, you'll still get out of breath wheeling it in and out of an awkward garage. But the hacked back styling reveals more of that brutish engine in the unit, which is larger than those found in most family hatchbacks, is a big torquey brute. Granted, it develops just 93 horsepower, but the torque figure of 155 Newton meters is the headline number here. There's easily enough pull here to tow a small boat, if that's your thing. Despite the weight it has to haul, the Fatbob gets up to speed quickly and instantly feels like a livelier, sportier ride than some of its fellow softails. The slightly raked forks mean it feels more eager to turn into corners, although you still have to grab it by the scruff of the neck and force it around bends. There's also the telltale heavy Harley gearbox, which gives out a hell of a think when selecting a gear, while the clutch is naturally weightier than European and Japanese bikes. But once used to its general demeanor, it rapidly becomes a fun machine to ride. One that stops exactly when you want it to, thanks to abs, yet it packs enough pull to nip around slower traffic and raise a decent-sized grin when the route becomes more interesting. Unlike some of the other bikes in Harley's cruiser range, the Fatbob doesn't feel quite as one-dimensional. Sure, it has that awesome and unmistakable Harley soundtrack, which is made even better with some aftermarket exhaust systems, but this is a bike that proves genuinely fun, as well as a solid tool for longer rides and inter-county cruising. Please, don't forget to like and subscribe. Help us to improve our channel for you. What's to say about the styling? As previously mentioned, the Fatbob takes the basics of Harley's existing cruiser range but mixes things up with stripped-back styling elements and thoroughly modern touches. The basic package is wrapped around the Milwaukee 8114V twin engine, and rightfully so. It's a proper showpiece to look at. Cleverly, it packs the aesthetics of a hardtail, thanks to the disguised mono shock that's cleverly stashed underneath a large rear fender. The only telltale sign is a rotating adjuster just beneath the sculpted seat, which can be turned to stiffen or soften the rear damping. The bars are wide and flat, while the modern LED headlamp at the front is slim and neatly sculpted into the cockpit. Despite its aggressive nature, it's actually an extremely comfortable riding position for anyone of an average height. The foot controls are set slightly forward, and the seat promotes decent posture. Even over longer rides it proves very comfortable. Most of the finishing kit is fashioned from chunky metal, giving off the impression that it has been well bolted together. However, there's a distinct lack of tech here, and the bike feels properly analog when compared to the Livewire and Pan American, both of which receive a digital display. But that's the point. This is supposed to feel rugged and retro. Let's look at the tech. There's very little to get excited about in this section. The Fatbob receives a fairly basic ABS braking system but lacks any form of traction control and other electronic riding aids. In fact, there are no riding modes to select from, zero adjustment on the front forks, and very little to play with when it comes to the clocks and dials. This cockpit is essentially made up of a 4-inch analog tachometer with digital speedometer, gear indicator, odometer, fuel level, clock, trip and range indication. The most technologically advanced thing you can really do is reset the trip counter. But hey, a Harley Davidson has always been about the bike, the rider and the open road, hasn't it? What's about the engine? First some basics, later more. The centerpiece of this bike is the thumping Milwaukee 8114V twin engine, which not only provides a superb soundtrack, it also delivers a solid amount of shove to get things moving. Press up the starter button, allow the various pumps and checks to recede and hit the ignition for an instant blast of the deep and unmistakable throb of Harley's finest. Efforts have been made to make the whole experience a little smoother with engineers fitting this new engine with 2 balancer shafts. According to the marque, the engine is now more reliable than its previous twin-cam motor. It's also more powerful and more efficient while retaining bags of character. I've never been one for the stock exhaust pipes that Harley now fits, as they make the enormous engine sound too restrained. This is clearly down to tight emissions and noise regulations, but it's also a clever ploy, as many customers will head to the likes of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde or Vance and Hines for an aftermarket solution that makes things sound beefier. Next point. Riding. Unlike other cruiser and touring models, which generally feel like they are happiest in a straight line, the Fatbob approaches twister routes with a grin on its face. Yes, it's still a heavy machine to wrangle, but it can be thrown around like a smaller machine. The mono shock at the rear, coupled with the stiffer chassis and swingarm of the updated 2018 models, combine to create a machine that feels a little more suited to European bends than previous generations. The fat 16-inch Mantis wheels probably don't do too much to aid any kind of sportiness here, but they look exceptionally cool, and extra kudos should be given to the Harley Davidson logos that are painted on the inside. That's a nice touch. Above all else, the latest Fatbob feels like a relatively versatile Harley Davidson. One that isn't too big that it can't be used in busier city centers, yet there's still enough muscle there for longer journeys and motorway cruising. The Softail family contains everything from the Breakout to the Heritage, and as such Harley have made a platform, tubular steel double cradle chassis that can be altered with minimal effort through different head angles or a choice of swing arms to suit the intended bike's role in life. All new for 2018, the Softail range has a hardtail look of a solid back end, but contains a mono shock under the seat area. Previous generations had twin shocks under the transmission. As well as being a claimed 65% stiffer than before, the new chassis also uses the engine as a stressed member and the swingarm is stiffer. Why is this important? Because it allows the Fatbob to handle fairly well. Unlike most Harley models, the sporty nature of the Bob sees it come with Showa inverted forks with dual bending valve technology, but sadly no adjustment, which is a shame as they are a little crude in their damping. Far from a lightweight bike, the Bob's 296 kilograms weight and fat 16-inch wheels is initially a bit daunting, as it does give the bike a strange feeling and a slight reluctance to turn into bends. However, once you get used to muscling it about, you can build up a bit of pace, and although limited by ground clearance, bends are certainly not something to be feared. This is a bike that is happy on a twisty road and is far more than just a straight-line cruiser. Owners report the OE Harley branded Dunlop tires are fairly poor in their performance in the wet and dry, so updating them for European spec alternatives is right at the top of the to-do list. But the brakes have ABS as standard and are a twin-disc 4-piston per caliper setup, which is enough to haul up the heavy Bob. I want to tell you more about the engine. When it was launched, the Fatbob was sold in 2 formats, 107 and 114, which refer to the Milwaukee 8 engine size in inches, 1745 cc or 1868 cc, if you don't speak imperial. However, nowadays only the bigger 114 is available. All new in 2017, the Milwaukee 8 motor is different to the one used in the touring models, where it debuted as its rigid mounting instead of rubber, and sees the Softail models run 2, not 1, balancer shafts to keep the vibrations down. A fabulous motor that sounds and feels exactly like a Harley should, the Milwaukee 8 marked a huge step forward over the old twin-cam motor, and as well as better reliability, it is more powerful and has a marginally slicker gearbox. We say marginally because there is still a hefty clunk when you select a cog. On the go, the 4-valve air-cooled motor, hence its name, as it has a total of 8 valves, is a real beauty with bags of torque delivering lots of instant punch. Although Harley dislike claiming power figures, it makes 86 bhp with 107 feet lb of torque in 107 and 94 bhp and 114 feet lb in 114, so there isn't too much of a difference if you opt for the lower capacity model. The one thing it is missing, however, is any form of traction control, and given all that grunt in the poor OE tires, on a wet road you do need to exercise a degree of caution over white lines or on slippery surfaces. Thanks again for watching. We hope you liked our video today. Please do us a favor and like and subscribe for more daily reviews and top 5 videos. Tell us in the comments which topic you want to see next. Maybe we have it already in our gallery, like top 5 cruise ships or helicopters. See you tomorrow. Donald from TechCheck.